welcome Will Pearson from Catapult Connected Places. Thank you for joining us. We've got a couple of questions we'd like to ask you to find out a bit more about yourself and Catapult. My first question is, could you tell me about what Catapult is, its aims and your role?
Sure. Thanks. Hi, Sarah, and thanks for the opportunity to talk about the Catapult Network. The Catapult Network, as it stands, is 9 centres strong. We were first brought into existence under the coalition government by the then Secretary of State for Business, Vince Cable, inspired as he was by what takes place in the economy of Germany, the Fraunhofer Centre model, which has business and academia co-locating, and they receive investment from a variety of sources. So their funding model is not purely state-driven, but has commercial and other R&D partnerships within it. But it's the co-location and the focus around a particular new nascent area of the economy that sets apart what Fraunhofers do and have done so successfully, and then how that inspired our own UK version, the Catapult Network. I'm part of Connected Places Catapult. We formed in April 2019 out of 2 historic catapults, the Future Cities and Transport Systems catapults. And that was a recognition by Innovate UK as one of our main funders of the crossover, spillover benefits of these 2 areas, both the smart cities and smart city products piece of Future Cities, and all of the innovation in transport mobility that was happening in the world of transport systems catapult. And since we formed, we've developed a number of sort of pioneering programs that explore this intersection of intense mobility and transport requiring sorry, the catapult. So the Connected Places Catapult exists to understand the conditions and the investment routes that bring transport and people together in intense locations. That intense location could be a train station, it could be an airport, it could be a city centre or a high street. We're interested in not so much the naming conventions of a place, whether it's a town or a city as such, but its ability to prosper and to grow and to be economically active. And we do that by looking at the underpinning infrastructure, connectivity, both physical and digital, that can make that happen. So yeah, we play an important role as part of this 3-legged stool between government, industry and academia, helping the best ideas to flow between them and ultimately help small and medium-sized businesses to grow. We're quite a big organisation now, approaching nearly 300 members of staff, and we've grown a lot over the last couple of years, especially in helping the UK recover from the pandemic and driving our 2050 net zero goals. My role is as head of academic engagement. I have a small, hardworking team of managers and a network lead. And what we do is we listen day in, day out to the research community. We search, scout and select the best ideas from that community to match them across to demands of our funded projects, whether they are Innovate funded or corporate partner funded. We also have a role to play in developing new consortia for CR&D, collaborative R&D purposes. So we keep abreast of what's happening, what exciting work is happening, who that exciting work is being led by, and ultimately trying to join those dots together to leverage in extra funding where we can do that, to influence UKRI and their funding decisions. That's an important part of our work. We can also learn from our partners in the research community and draw out some policy implications that we can share ultimately with some of our government partners like the Department for Transport, the Home Office, etc. So yeah, we ultimately are there to understand some of the pain points in innovation delivery and commercialization work, but also supporting researchers themselves to be enterprising, entrepreneurial, and ultimately have the impact they would like to have in the wider world.
That's great. Thank you very much. And I mean, you've talked about obviously a big part of Catapult is these kind of connections that you're making. Um, could you tell us a little bit about, I guess, connecting with academia and particularly kind of social scientists?
Um, so yes, social sciences has always had an important role to play within the Catapult's work. It's fair to say both independent Catapults before we came together in 2019 had social researchers, user researchers that sat within the design teams and were there very much as part of delivery teams understanding user requirements, getting people around the table in workshops, helping to bring good ideas to the surface and make sure all voices were represented. But we've seen benefit in formalizing that because it was very much down to the nature of the funding, the partners involved, whether that was a core component or a little bit on the periphery. So over recent years, and particularly in relation to our work with the N8 group of universities as part of Decarbonate, which is decarbonising transport in the north of England, which is a major research project sort of around 2020, 2021, really understanding the value of looking at your communities of users in new and more sophisticated ways. So we've learnt from that project just some of the fundamental misconceptions people have about their target markets, their target audiences. We've also seen it challenge some of the ways in which you have to reach those markets, be it through a product, possibly actually straying across into cultural institutions, the use of an exhibition, for example, to help bring communities with you using photographic records as opposed to textual records. All sorts of interesting ways to challenge the orthodoxy of taking a technology simply from A to B by means of standard commercialization routes. So social scientists have encouraged us to ask better questions, to look for new connections and perhaps marginalized and underrepresented voices. And it's given us, I think, given the social scientists amongst us inside the Catapult, extra support and extra thinking that we should do in order to make our own investments and projects more inclusive and ultimately more impactful.
Thanks, Will. I guess that leads on quite nicely to my next question is, for those who are perhaps in early stages, early career stage at university, how they can get involved. It sounds like you've got, you have some, yeah, amazing projects on the go, but yeah, what are the opportunities there for academics to get involved?
But thank you. There are a number of opportunities to do so, but I would start by saying we really would like to hear from you if you have a good idea wherever you think you are in bringing it to life. We have a very strong academic network of researchers right across the UK, 1,500 members and growing rapidly, from all stages of academia and all career paths within academia. And we would encourage you to join, to get posted out opportunities as they arise, to submit your research interests to our database so that we can find you when we're looking for projects. But then it ultimately entitles you to use our free research needs assessment process, or RNA for short. And this will give you a catapult view, a critical friend view on your current work. Now, that could be something you're currently doing, or it could be something you're thinking of doing, or it could also be something you've finished. And we'll be able to give you a steer across the catapult from a different number of technical viewpoints where you might take your work next. That's not a funding opportunity, that's just a triaging and quick digital touch point for our work. Um, Ultimately, the way we have opportunities arise, that they come in a number of forms. The key one is our Researchers in Residence programme. Now, this is funded by the Engineering and Physical Sciences Research Council and is a cross catapult opportunity. Yeah, and what it is a cash grant from EPSRC direct to your university to buy out your time. effectively, to come and work with us at the Catapult on one of our challenge areas. Now, you will have known about that challenge area through our promotion of the particular challenge in mind. You'll have had a conversation with us about your response to that, and we'll then help you along the way to link with the relevant industry bodies, policy bodies, sector organisations, small businesses, technologists, whoever it is you would like to get in touch with. We can make that happen, and ultimately we'll work together over the course of 12 months typically to deliver a really exciting project outcome, which could take the form of a playbook, a guide to others to follow in your footsteps, or it could be a data set, or it could be a potentially a product or service in its various earliest form. There's no expectation this has to be something ready to commercialize, and it's not there to trip you up. It's a funding mechanism to bring the worlds of the Catapult and universities closer together, and therefore we do encourage risk taking within this. And we'll work with you if you have a good idea to bring it to life. Many of our wider innovation funding programs are open to universities, the most well known of which is the TRIG program. That stands for Transport Research Innovation Grants. And this again is a means to take some risks with DFT's set challenge areas. They're looking for fresh thinking across all sorts of modal forms, whether it's the next generation of hydrogen-powered taxis, whether it's new ways in which drones could be used to survey coastal communities. There are all sorts of really great ideas for which an innovation grant might be suitable. So as a wider institution, we'd encourage all universities to look at this funding program, particularly in relation to DFT's current priorities. And then we have finally our milestone work, where we do want to reach out into the academic community from time to time to find experts in, for example, public transport law, for example, or the putting in of charging infrastructure for electric vehicles. And that's why having your details on our academic network is so important, because we can find you and reach out to you. You may think you have a very niche skill and that there's perhaps only a very few people who might be able to work with you to apply that skill, but being part of our network enables you to find others and connect to others via some of our funding programs. And I say we are very keen to hear from you if you have a good idea to share with us. A number of colleagues, myself, have found the Guiding Principles really inspiring to read. Knowledge co-production, equality, diversity, and inclusion, understanding our respective roles and responsibilities here is critically important. We don't have the same level of guiding principles at the moment, but as a translational research organisation seeking UKRI eligibility status, we absolutely do have to look at and scrutinise our own research culture, make sure that it's responsible. So the responsible research and innovation agenda is important to us. A lot of our guiding principles are often flowed down to us through the people who fund us. So in a grant funding agreement with funder X, we would look to flow down their particular terms and conditions to make sure that, yes, we followed the highest quality standards in recruitment, for example, and in support for neurodiversity along the way, for example, and that's really good. But as the other Catapult Network centres have concluded, we need to go further ourselves. So the ethics upskilling program that Digital Catapult, one of our Catapult centre colleagues, that's a really inspiring program. I'd like to see Connected Places Catapult achieve that level of sophistication in its ethical considerations. In 2023 for the Digital Catapult, that gives them that gives their startups very specific guidance. I think we have, I say, at the moment, that's really a conversation with each of our funders based on agreed terms at the beginning, whether that's a commercial partner or a local authority partner. And I say, when it comes to research work, we've got a golden opportunity right now to set our own new standard of excellence on which your guiding principles would be a really firm foundation.